Yay! We are live. Today we're going to be talking about how to manifest a fabulous rich life with future self journaling. I'm Evie Diaz, your host here on Wealth Creation Fridays, and I want you to stay tuned because we got women that are going to be joining us. We're excited to have them too. Yay! So just tune in and watch the video. We'll be right back. And hello and welcome. I am so excited that we are live, hopefully in several different channels as I'm trying a new tool, and I'm grateful. If you're joining us for the very first time, wherever you're watching this from, would you kindly let us know who you are, where you're watching, and where in the world you are? So let us know your name. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, let us know where you are. And also make sure you let us know where in the world you are because we want to hear from you. So if this is your first time watching, welcome. We are the Wealth Creation Wednesday show, part of our F.A.B. Rich Life, which stands for Feel, Act, and Be Rich Life. And today we're going to be talking about future self journaling. And if you're wondering why do I have this little wong, I guess, it's because we're in the month of March, and I believe March is manifesting magical March. And so we have the magic to manifest all our desires as we would like. And that's where future self journaling is part of that. And before I tell you anything else about me, I have currently two wonderful women who are joining me as guests, and I'm going to bring them up one at a time so they can introduce themselves to you and you can find out a little bit more about them. So let me bring the first one up. Hello, hello. How are you, my friend? Make sure
Hello,
you're unmuted.
beautiful. Hello, beautiful. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad that you were able to make it. You know, I'm using a new tool, and
I
a lot of people were
know.
saying they wanted to join, and I wasn't sure how to bring different people. And I think there's different people. If they could just wait in the
It's so
background,
interesting.
Asia, I'm going to be bringing you in soon. Go ahead and please give us your like 30-second introduction, your name. Who do you serve in the name of your company? That way we can bring our other fabulous women. And I'm going to start taking out some of these things so that people can actually see your pretty face.
Sounds good. Hello, everyone. My name is Karam Zafravera. I am a mindset coach. I am also a global master ambassador with the Napoleon Hill Institute. And I serve the community. I serve everyone that is ready to step into that next level. I work specifically one-on-ones and in group sessions, and I am just here to help you become your best self.
I love that. So the reason why she's here, as many of you may know by now, if you don't, the Think and Grow Rich book was very, very instrumental and inspirational to me throughout my entire life. And my upcoming book, Manifest My Fab Rich Future Self Now, is really an inspiration from the Think and Grow Rich. And Karen is a Think and Grow Rich Napoleon Hill Foundation ambassador. And so, love that she's here with me, love her energy and just her good vibes, because that's all we want. We want to share good vibes. And I want to remind those of you that may be inside the wonderful group, we want to say hello to our good friend Sanette from South Africa. We're sending her good energy because I know that she couldn't join us today, but her group is watching from her Diamond Beauties group in Facebook. And I just want to say thank you to all those wonderful women who are out there watching from the Diamond Beauties group, and specifically to Jay Shree Dexter. Hi, thank
Yeah,
you
I
for
was about to say
watching.
that.
She just shared something in there.
She
And
said
let's just,
hi.
yay, let's continue introducing. We have another brand new uh, member to our Fabric women community, and let me bring her up. And let's see how I'm going to accommodate this. Give me a second as I'm learning this. There we go. Go ahead and give us a 30-second introduction, who you are, who do you serve, and a little bit more. So go ahead and do that now, please. I can't hear you. Let's see. I think we got to. Did I unmute? Yeah, you're unmuted. No, we can't hear you. See if you can unmute yourself, please. We can't hear you at all. We cannot hear you at all. And I think I had someone else here, but I don't see them. Do you see someone else in here? Karen, I think she left.
I don't
Okay,
see anybody else, honey.
hold on.
Renee says
Maribel.
hello from the Sinette group.
Oh,
Sinette.
hi, Renee. Thank you for saying hello. Okay, Maribel, maybe you'd have to come back. See if you can come back, Maribel. I don't know what happened, but that's all good. No worries. Try and see if you can come back. And let's see how we're going to do a screen share with people, which I have no idea. So bear with me as I'm like playing around with this.
I
First
love
of all, I know, right? As I have no idea how this happens, but we're gonna see how we're gonna do this. Let's see. So we're there. I don't know what happened to her. And let's see if I could do a double screen share. Maybe I can. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be bringing you back. And I apologize as I'm not sure. Let's see if it's this. There we go. I figured it out.
You're good
So
with
there we are.
technology.
I
You're
know
good.
because there's like one, two, three, there's like 10 buttons just to make this look different. So it's a little hard to see how to do it. And hopefully Maribel will join us. And let's continue monitoring the live chat. Please, Renee and Jay Shree. I apologize if I did not say your name correctly, but tell us a little bit about you there in the chat because we want to know and we want to give you a shout out. Sorry that we couldn't have everybody here. I know that all of you wanted to, and a big shout out and love and hugs to Sanette because I know that many members of her group wanted to join us here, but I decided to use this tool, so it's kind of limiting to how many people can be in the live stream. But just feel free to email me at Evie at Businessversity for next Wednesday, and we'll get it all set up for you. So we're going to talk about this idea of the future self. Now, what I did, Karen, I don't know if you like this picture, but I went to Pixabay and I said, let's see if we can find a woman looking at her future self. And this was the picture that came up. So
Wow.
I want you to, yeah. So I want you to think about like when you
Mm.
think about your future self, how much into the future do you think about? And by the way, please feel free to join the conversation there in the live chat. Karen, how far into the future do you see yourself? Do you visualize yourself?
Um, I visualize, well, at the stage that my kids are in now, I now visualize past having grandkids. And not for the purpose that I am rushing it, and not for the purpose because that I'm going to be home, but more for the purpose of traveling. Like I see myself traveling, having that sense of being able to be home, but also be traveling, be doing my career, be doing everything that I am passionately in love with. So, a years, I would say at least 10 to 15 years ahead, I think about it. I don't, and here's the thing with this image, I don't see myself older. I
And that's
see
fine.
myself having fun.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It just happens to be that this is the only one I found. I'm going to look
No,
for
no,
another
but
one.
it's good. But it's just, it made me realize, it made me become aware that I see my present self just having a whole lot of more fun in the future.
I love that. I love that. And yeah, me too. I will say that I feel the same way. And also that I do not see myself this far out in the future either. I am thinking of my future self and visualizing and doing future self journaling on a day to day basis. And I'll talk about that in just a little bit. And my future self, as far as I can see, is 7 years right now because I'll have a big birthday then, and so that's kind of where my future self is. So, the
Mm,
question for those of you that are watching and are joining us is how far do you see yourself or do you visualize your future self? And how are you different? How are you better? Tell us a little bit about that because we want to hear what you have to say.
mm.
And so, this is going to start us in this conversation, which Asia, who was here, somehow dropped off. She gave me this image to share. And at first I said,
I
this
love
is an
that.
interesting image. But then I said, this is a pretty cool lady. Does she look like
Yes,
cool?
absolutely.
She reminds me of my coach, Pegina Echevarria, and of a lot of other very cool women that I know that into their age, they are cooler and they are just kind of out there and they don't care, they're cool, they're bad, and they're bodacious and they just show it. So that image kind of reminded me of that. And
Mm,
so we are continuing this Wednesday and every Wednesday, and we started for this month of March because March we're celebrating women. So to all those women that are watching, we celebrate you. That's what we want to hear about you. And we're continuing this next Wednesday, and then thereafter, Wealth Creation Wednesdays will always be at 2 o'clock. And I just wanted to let you know that we just really started now in March because because I'm writing a book and I'm submitting it to Hay House for publishing, and that'll be April 12th that I'm actually submitting my book proposal. So stay sending me good vibes so everything goes
absolutely.
well for that. And this work that I'm sharing is all things that have been downloaded by my future self into this journal first and then a book later on that I'll talk about. And so for today, here are the concepts that we will discuss: what it means to manifest, what is future self journaling, and what is it that I mean when I talk about the morning and evening future self retreats, because those are my concepts that I made up. And so we'll talk a little bit about what does these things mean. And in the chat, please feel free to begin the discussion. And Karen and I will have the discussion here and anyone else who joins. For now, let me just briefly tell you I am Evie Diaz. I'm a strategic growth speaker at Biz University. I'm also the host of the Wealth Creation Wednesdays. I am writing a journal and then a book on manifesting my fab rich future self now journal and book. The title may change if the editors so see it fit to change. So I'm just letting you know. And this is all about FAB, stands for not just fabulous, because everybody says, oh, it's about being fabulous. Yes, and we are all fabulous as females. It is about feeling, acting, and being your future self now and being rich in every area of your life. And I'm proud to say that I'm a Hay House authorpreneur, very soon a Hay House author. And I'm just really excited about this topic because at the beginning of the year, I had kind of this epiphany, if you will, where I started thinking about where I am today and where I thought I would be when I thought of my life 10 years ago. And I didn't remember a lot, but I did know that I wasn't exactly where I wanted to be. And then I went back to my journals because I've been journaling, and I have something to show you. You know what this is?
What is that?
This is my very first journal from
Oh,
when
is
I was
it?
12 years old.
Aw.
So this journal is over 40 years old. That's right. And
Very
so
interesting.
I went back and I said, wow, as I go back to my bookshelf, I said, I'm not really where I thought I would be. And then I started thinking about my future self 7 years from now. And I said, where do I really want to be? And so that kind of began the process of creating this journal, writing this book, and starting to share this information that I'm sharing with you. And so I want to hear your thoughts about that whole conversation that I had, Karen. Have you ever had a conversation like that with yourself? And before we begin, though, let me put Asia so she could introduce herself. And let's
Absolutely.
just say, hi, welcome, Asia. How are you?
Hi,
Hi,
I'm
Asia.
good. Good to see you.
I'm so glad that you were able to join us. Do you want to do a 30-second introduction of yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Asia. Um, I have a company that takes care of social media, and lately I was able to find the purpose of Joya, which is the name of my company, and we mainly take care of businesses that are purpose driven, and that really gives me a lot as part of being able to help them achieve their goals, and somehow I may that makes me feel that it makes me as well a better person. And so, yeah, this is pretty much a little introduction about me. And I'm very, very excited to be here and meeting you all today.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm so glad that you were able to join us because I think you just landed, right?
Yes, I'm literally just landed.
Where are you? Where are you today?
I am very close to Nashville. Just
Nashville.
got here from Miami. It's raining, it's really cold, but I missed it so much. So I'm very
Well,
happy to be here
well,
also.
I'm very happy that you made it. Thank you so much. And so the question that I had that I was asking Karen, and then we'll go immediately to you so we can move through this content today is when do you take time to review your life? And when you do, number one, are you satisfied with where you are or where you thought you'd be maybe 5 or 10 years ago, where you are today as you compare it to then? And that's the first question. So, Karen, why don't you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So now, so 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I was in a different business. And so the current business that I'm in, and which is where I plan to be and stay in, I used to be in the mediation business and conflict resolutions. So it was a very corporately type of business. I knew that I wasn't going to stay there because from I would say out of the years that I was in that type of business, there was something that was always seeking. I was always looking for something. There was always something that was pulling, and I didn't know what that was. So I knew if I, when I looked back at my life at that time and I would look towards the future, I knew that there was something else, but I didn't have clarity of what that was. Now, in the coaching business that I'm in and in the mindset work that I do, I look at my I check in on a regular basis, but really to look at a whole year's time, I do it towards the end of the year. I love to really capture everything that I've done in the year. And I do get into a habit, and I'm not as consistent on a monthly basis, but it's really, really good, right? Preaching to myself here, really good for us to check in on a monthly basis and give ourselves the credit that we have accomplished for that month at least. So that when you do that towards the end of the year, you're not trying to go through each week of the year, but you just collect all of the wins that you've had every month, and then you can really see, because you can't collect everything in one time,
And
but
and I'm gonna share a different thought that this is part of the retreat method that I'm writing about and that I'm teaching. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have you hold because I want to make sure
okay.
that we allow everyone to talk, and I want to make sure we go through this content. So, Asia, and then before Asia, you begin, let me see if Maribel can join us again. Let's try one more time. Maribel, can you talk?
No,
Sorry, Maribel.
I wonder
Wow.
what that is.
So sorry, Maribel, but watch from the live and we'll figure it out later. Please watch on
Oh,
YouTube, watch the link on Facebook, and please do join the chat. Okay?
thank you
Thank
for
you.
being
You could just
here.
stay here. If you hear us, just stay here. And you see where it says private chat there? Just go on the private chat and we'll continue chatting with you. Sorry that you can't join us. Okay, so Asia, you're a little younger, just a little younger than Karen and I. So, have you had a time, and when perhaps do you kind of go back and look and say, well, am I where I thought I was going to be a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago? What, do you have that time when you think and ask that of yourself?
So I actually do that on a daily basis, journaling, which is something that I started doing this year. So it was one of the things that, with the beginning of the year, kind of like setting all the goals and everything. One of the things that I wanted to be more conscious about is, what am I achieving on a daily basis, which is really important, because sometimes you focus on 5 years, 10 years, and then you don't really focus on the day by day sort of rhythm that you follow. So that is one. But obviously, you can really see the difference. It's really hard to see the difference into something one day from the other. Things don't happen overnight, right? So one thing that I really like to do is to meditate. It's something that I also try to do on a daily basis. Unfortunately, a very bad habit that I have before I go to sleep, it's when all those thoughts usually kick in. And so I really start thinking about the past, what I want to be. And sometimes I tend to judge myself or like critique myself, because I'd like to.
Well, I'm going to stop you, and I want you to talk about that when we come to talk about the evening retreat. I
Okay.
love that you started saying about that, and you know a little bit of where I'm going because it's not the
Yeah.
first time that you hear me talk about that. But just hold that thought because we are going to get to that. And let me just go ahead and bring back, if I can, my PowerPoint. There we are. Oh, I'm so glad I was able to put everybody's name. I'm so proud of myself. Okay, great. So first, let's talk about what it means to manifest. So let's go in baby steps because we're talking about manifesting by doing future self journaling and doing a morning and evening retreat. And today we're not going to get deep into the morning and evening retreat, except I'm going to mention it specifically because Asya talked about the evening. So, Asya, remind me that we got to get back into that evening conversation. For now, why don't you give me your short definition? We'll start with Asya and then Karen. We'll go backwards this time. What does it mean to manifest to you?
So I feel that from the beginning of this year, I have a little bit of a more understanding of what manifesting means. I wasn't really wondering about it before, and I really think that when you can see something, feel something, and want something very, very much, and you can get there, and you're already getting there. I think that's really when you're manifesting that thought into becoming a reality.
You want me to
What do
move?
you say, Karen? Yes, please.
Okay. So manifesting, it's exactly, it's what we are thinking and feeling, bringing it into a fruition, bringing it into our lives. And it begins with the thought, and we first create it in the mind, and then we feel it, and sometimes, well, we actually feel it more powerfully than before actually seeing it. And it's when we feel it, when we embody, and when we have that faith, that we actually create it in our physical realm. So that to me is the manifestation of something. You're muted, baby.
Yeah, I'm trying to manage the private chat and the live chat to see if Maribel had put anything. And Maribel, please feel free to put something there in the live chat as a guest, and I'll mention what your thoughts are, and you're welcome to do that. So for Maribel, she says it means it starts with the thought and then you feel it. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Maribel. You have to really feel it and see it and be very clear. I like that. Thank you. Thank you. So you can continue writing in the chat for those of you that are there, that I see you in the chat. I appreciate you also chiming in. So I found this beautiful image and I like the feathers. And it says create, meditate, flow, resonance, think, allow, success, prosperity, receive. I think of all those words that I want to manifest. And I just wanted to put that out there before I kind of gave you like my definition. So for me, to manifest means to bring something into existence, into reality. And you do that by focus intention, meaning you visualize it, you see it, and you take action. So the concept of manifestation suggests that by visualizing first what we want, what we believe to be true, we can then attract it into our lives. And there are a few words that really resonate here with me. And one of them is belief. Belief. Because I don't know about you ladies. And here's the question for discussion in the chat. Have you ever either written or repeated affirmations or said something because someone said, oh, this is what you should be affirming, and you didn't believe it? And what I mean by that specifically, there was a time in my life that I could not see myself becoming a millionaire. Or and I was like and I was saying these things, but I didn't believe them. And so that didn't manifest for me at that time. Now I do. So universe, yes, I'm ready to be a millionaire. I didn't believe it at that time. So because it wasn't in alignment with my beliefs, it didn't resonate with me. And because of that, I believe that I did not allow it for it to manifest. What are your thoughts, Karen?
So I believe it's true. I think it's very important for us to. So what I would say is that we have a C type goal, becoming a millionaire, a C type goal. But that doesn't mean that we have the level of awareness right now to obtain that C type goal or to feel it from the present circumstance that we're in. So what I've come to learn to do is to create a middle goal, a goal that leads me and bridges me towards that C type goal so that I can break it down and be connected to what it is that I want. So my vision is always on the C type goal, but I am taking the baby steps towards it. And so what is the goal that I want to set myself up to move forward to with the vision of that C type goal? If we do not connect to it, if we do not connect to the emotion of what it is that we are going for, then it'll always be detached from you. And we
I
can
love that.
only manifest what we are emotionally attached to. And that's why it's so profound for us to create the story that serves us, that is connected to us. Doesn't mean stay comfortable. You have to stretch yourself. But the stretching happens with the consistency and the repetition of the affirmation.
I love it. I love it. And Asia, do you want to chime in?
I mean, Karen, you described it perfectly. And I really agree because I feel that sometimes I'm not aligned quite yet. I think I'm getting there. I know that I can manifest. I know that that is a thing. I know that I've done it. But on long term goals, or like, sometimes I feel like I'm still in the process of aligning with that. But I know that tricking yourself sometimes and trying to feel the emotion, like I know that Evie does too, and I actually started doing that as well, can help you align with the emotion, and that it's gonna start taking you there every day.
I love that. Thank you so much. And let me just say, she used the word tricking, but what I do is, for example, my future house, well, one of my future houses, because we're actually selling our condo in Aventura, which is, by the way, overlooking the water, which is my background that you see here in the live stream, which I'm very grateful for. We are selling it, and we're going to buy two houses, one in the mountains for my husband, because he loves the mountains and he loves a mountain view, and right one for me right on the beach because I love the beach. So what I've shared with Asia in the past is that, like, my future self is by the beach. So I love going to the beach, which I'm blessed that is literally 10-minute driving from me. I go to Golden Beach of all places because that's my view across the way, and I sit there to bring my consciousness and vibrate higher, to start manifesting and visualizing that I'm going to manifest that home. And for example, lately I've been going to the beach and visualizing having all you ladies joining me at the beach by Golden Beach and us doing a future self retreat together. And that, and being also, which was episode 1 from this month, was about gratitude, being in that vibration of gratitude, visualization, then it just makes me feel, and I think it was you, Karen, talked about the feeling, and I think you talked about the feeling too. It brings my feelings, my vibes that we've been talking about too in the chat, to a higher degree where I really start believing it, feeling it, and it's something emotional. And so that's kind of the trick. And I have to share here what Maribel shared because it's so beautiful. She wrote, being able to believe what you cannot touch, see, or feel. I love that. And I'm not a religious person. And yeah, that is what faith is. Faith is believing in something that you cannot see. And that is so powerful. And thank you so much for sharing that. And let's continue this. And let me see what else I wrote here. I probably wrote more. Okay, so I wrote a little bit about doing a Fabric Future Self daily retreat, and this is where the journaling comes in. And I came up with the word retreat, which we'll talk more about next week, about this time that you take out for yourself, you retreat out of the world every morning and every night to spend time with yourself, manifesting your future self now. So, part of that process, which I don't like saying the word routine, but it is a habit that you want to begin. And for me, it was crucial to do it in the morning and at night because in the morning, there's plenty of research showing as to where we are and how open and receptive we are to really creating and really coming from that deeper inside of us, that beingness within us to create. So it's very powerful. And then I love that Asia mentioned in the evening because, yes, sometimes in the evening, we can tend to judge ourselves. Oh, like if you're a type A to do list person, like I was, I would sit there and go through my to do list of 100 items and say, ah, and start feeling bad about myself. So the evening retreat gives me an opportunity to look at things in a different way. And we'll talk more about that next week. What I want to focus on is this idea of staying true to where you truly want to be, independent of the outside world. Okay. So we're not going to look and see. So I'm going to go through this. I want us to let that go. And as we begin this idea of future self journaling, I want you to think of it in this way. Yesterday, Asia and I were in a wonderful class where we had to create our dream board. And I love the name dream board because future self journaling is kind of writing what we dream about, what we want to manifest, what our greatest desires are, and writing about those wonderful, great desires that we have. And the what used to I used to call vision board, I love the dream board name, helps us to visualize because most of us are visual human beings. Okay, so this was mine that I created, and of course, my soon to be published journal is the first thing that I put, and then everything else I put there. So I want you to visualize what your desires are, and it could be for the end of this year, maybe for the end of this month, and then start writing as if you've already attained that. And I'm going to go a little bit into that. And I want to see, can one of you, Asia or Karen, read what someone, Mel, Rasha?
Yeah, I can read it.
Yes, please.
It
Thank you.
says, "Hello there. I'm a strong believer in documenting your goals. I try on an annual basis to document my goals and all fears of my life. Strong believer in strong believer in the vision board concept and breathing life into our goals."
I
Beautiful.
love that. I love that last part, breathing life
Mm-hmm.
into our goals. I don't use the word goals anymore because it reminds me so much of my corporate life, of my corporate world. So I use the word intentions because to me is a more spiritual word, but that's just semantics for me. I really like it. And I used to think of intention as something softer than a goal, but now I think of an intention, something even more powerful than a goal because it comes from deep within me. So I love that. Breathing life into my intentions. I absolutely love that. And thank you so much for sharing. So please share with me in the chat and here by affirming yes. If you are a daily journaler, do you journal every day?
Yes, absolutely.
I love that. Yes. Journaling is a very, very, very powerful process. And doing it every day makes you feel better when you do it specifically as a future self journal. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is my personal experience. And of course, I'm going to share things on the beach because I just love the beach. So, what I discovered from journaling, even when I was 12 years old, when I look back at that first journal that I share, this is my journal from when I was a little baby, 12-year-old girl. And I look in here, and you know why this little girl was writing? She was writing because she wanted to feel better. So that's why this little girl was writing, because she felt like she didn't really have anybody and she wanted to feel better. Well, guess what? That little girl, that little inner child still in me, and I want to feel good. And so I do my journaling in the morning and at night to recognize that I'm moving towards my desires. I am manifesting what I want. And overall, by doing it every day, it makes me feel more happy because I set that intention. I set the intention to feel happy. So, future self journaling is a very, very powerful technique. So, it involves writing about your future. And now, your future, as I indicated already, could be whatever you want it to be. It could be your future tomorrow. Let's say you have something big happening tomorrow that you want to like write it out like if you were an author of your own life, which you are, and you are writing about tomorrow what you see happening. So you speak of it, you write of it as if you've already achieved it in the present moment. Isn't that powerful?
It's super powerful. It's incredibly powerful. And if I may, Evie, it's one of those things that when you start to write it and you start to play that in your mind continuously, that's how you begin to create the emotion and attach to that vision, that dream that you are claiming in. But it is, and
Absolutely.
it's claiming it now, right? I think it's
Yes.
very important. I'm sure you're going into that. I don't want to jump ahead, but I don't know where you're
Yes.
going. But yeah, it's how we are writing it, right? Claiming it now. That for me, I write, I'm so happy and grateful now that I am this, or that I have, or whatever it is that I am claiming, I claim it now. It's never in the future, it's always in the present.
Absolutely. And that is clarity. The more that you write it, the more clear it becomes to you, to your subconscious mind, and you're more likely to make it like a reality because you're doing it in your mind as you're writing about it. It's happening. And, there's plenty of research from psychologists that show that your mind doesn't know the difference, so it takes it as truth. Therefore, why not write it as if it's factual? Because your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between the factual or that you're writing as your future self. So, the practice of future self journaling involves writing about your future self in the present tense, like Karen, you just talked about, using positive affirmations and visualization techniques. Okay. So, you begin by visualizing how you see yourself, because it all begins right here in the mind, right? And then you
Yeah.
start creating that entire roadmap as to how you see it, unleashing, unlocking. Okay. You're also tapping into the power of the law of attraction, which state that when we focus on positive thoughts and positive feelings, we attract those outcomes into our lives. Whatever we focus on expands, right? So the
Exactly.
more that we focus on that, the more that we'll be headed in the direction that we desire. Future
Mhm.
self journaling can be particularly helpful if, for any reason, you are struggling with self doubt, self esteem issues, lack of directions, or you're simply feeling stuck in a current situation or stuck in general in your life. It's a powerful tool to move you through. It can also be a magnificent tool for manifesting anything from the very small to the very big. And before we go into some details about future self journaling, I want to say that I began journaling this year about manifesting some beautiful friends. And look, I connected again with Karen and I met Asia. And I was so blessed, I told her, and Asia is also my prayer partner. And I was so glad that that was the manifestation that I created. I also started manifesting that my eye, back in 2021, a week before my wedding, I suffered what it's kind of like a eye heart attack. And so I lost vision from my right eye. And I just went to the doctor last Thursday, and Asia was praying for me as I was going to the doctor. And after over a year, I asked the doctor, "Am I cured?" And he says, "You're cured." And I can see as good as I'm going to see for my age. He said, "Be glad." And let me tell you, it's funny that I say I'm cured because my niece, her father-in-law, I mean, she's dating this guy, has the same problem. He's my same age. He's young. This is something that doesn't happen to young people, by the way. And I'm still young. It happens to people like in their 70s. And he had to operate because he went blind. And
Oh,
now he's done all the treatment that I did, and he still cannot drive because he cannot see. So when
mm,
I think about that, and I have to call my niece and let her know because I forgot to tell her that I haven't had, this might sound a little weird, an injection in my eye, because that's what I had to have. I had to have injections in my eye, which are made really for patients who have cancer, but they found out that it works for this eye condition. I've had to have injections in my eye every month for over a year. And last Thursday, I found out I don't need them, at least for the time being. Praise God. I don't think I'm going to need them again. And that's a manifestation. And
that
I
is.
hear myself saying, and it sounds crazy, but that's how
Mhm.
powerful future self manifesting, future self journaling is in manifesting. So now I want to hear from
Amazing.
you. What have you manifested this year so far? We're in March 2022 of the year 2023. What have you manifested this year? Let's go into gratitude. What have you manifested?
So I want to just add something before I say that, Evie, which first of all, that's amazing. And that brings so much hope for so many people because it's sometimes easy to hear it, but hearing it and then seeing somebody actually speaking about it and knowing you, it's a different type of proof, right? So that's one. And then second of all, when we do these affirmations, when we're claiming something, a perfect way that I have found to really be able to attach myself and really be emotionally attached to it is by asking why. Why do I want this? Because you take yourself to a deeper layer of deep analyzing. And it's when we get emotionally attached, when we hit that little chord in our heart that, and you start to get emotional, and you'll know because you'll emotionally be impacted. So asking why is really profound when you're giving gratitude and when you're claiming and affirming what you want. It just puts you at a whole different, that caliber that you say that you reach at the beach when you're, really tapped in. That's what it does. So that's just one of the things I wanted to just add to it.
Thank you. And do you want to share something that you've manifested this year so far, or do you want to wait for Asia to go? Whatever you like.
Go ahead, Asia. Go ahead and go, and then I'll go.
Well, I mean, Evie, I haven't been in my country, Italy, for 3 years. So something that I was really, really praying and trying to manifest was to meet my family, especially my brother and the children, because they were very little last time I saw them. And finally, last week they were here. And then there's like a bigger manifestation that I'm expecting for this year, and being with them just um, made me really connect and gave me the emotion of what I'm really looking forward to manifest this year. And I really want to keep that emotion with me. So this week it's all about family. I'm gonna continue talking about it for like I don't know, the entire year. Yeah,
That's so
so
sweet.
that is it.
I love that. And yeah, remember what I told you? That's what we want to do. Like, with we spoke, I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago in this venue also. We talked about taking those emotions that make us feel good and really remembering them. I mean, almost like putting them in a box if we could. Like, for example, my wedding was my best day ever. And if I ever get discouraged about something, I go and I look at my thank you postcards that I didn't get to send to everybody, and I look at them and I look at that postcard and I remember the happiest day in my life. And so I tap into that and those emotions and those feelings. So this is kind of like a different way of doing what I do in the beach. So that's what I told Asia. I said, remember how you feel. I told her, remember, grab a hold of those feelings, of that excitement, because that A will help you in times when you're not feeling it. Also, it will help you to garnish that and manifest what you want. And it's just a good way of being able to then turn things around for yourself when you know and can feel the feelings that you felt at a particular time. So those are powerful. And I'll discuss that more as the weeks go by. It's kind of like an NLP, neuro linguistic programming technique, and it has been proven to work. So anytime that you want to kind of really retain those wonderful feelings to use in the future, get in tune with them and kind of keep them in a special place so you can be tapped on to them when you want to access those feelings. Go ahead, Karen. Please
That's
share your manifestation so far this year.
so my manifestation actually so last year I was thinking of what I wanted to add as a skill in myself so that I can provide for my clients. And I got I what came to me, and it was literally on the 31st, was to learn the Silva method. And so I actually manifested the nephew of Jose Silva and being mentored by him, and then bringing that a bridge into the community of the Napoleon Hill that I was seeking in the past coming into now. So that is all unfolding as it is, right, as it's happening right now. So that's my big manifestation. You're muted.
I love that. I absolutely love that. That's what I said. And so here's an exercise for everyone to do as you're watching this, whether live now or on the replay. So let's play along. I want you to write a short, kind of affirmative sentence, like if you were doing future self journaling. And I want you to write what you want to achieve in the next year or in the next month, something that you're willing to share either in the chat or here with us as you both are here with me. So go ahead and write it. Write your intention as an affirmative, almost affirmative prayer, kind of what Asia and I have been doing, affirmative prayer, meaning we're writing it in the present tense as if it already happened. So go ahead, and it could be something short, something small. It could be like an affirmation, but let's just think about it as something that you would write in your future self journal. Something about your future self, whether that is your future self in a month, like I'm going to share mine I am a Hay House author. That's it. I have a longer one that I wrote that actually made me cry, a journal entry, because it was so powerful of me seeing the whole process. But it could be that small. So go ahead and do that now. And then when you're ready, you could raise your hand for those of you here, and you
You
just
want
or
us to
just
write
start
it first?
talking. Write it or go ahead and say it, whatever. It's just I want people to understand what this type of writing is about.
So for me, I have, which is my affirmation, and I repeated and created a script around it, is that I'm so happy and grateful now that I am a Global Master Silver Mind Certified Coach for NHI.
I love that. I love that. And Asia, do you have one? Because I see Xyz. I'm going to say hello, Xyz. And Xyz, you can join us in here. I send you the link and I'll share yours on the screen in a second. But go ahead, Asia, if you have it, or I can come back.
I'm putting the words in my mind together.
Okay, I'll come right back to you. Let me share Xyz. And Karen, do you want to read what she wrote, if you
Sure.
don't mind?
I am celebrating my stable home life and love partnership.
I love that,
Love
Xyz. I really, really like that. I am celebrating. Oh, I love the word celebrating.
it. Mm-hmm.
I love that word. And Asia, are you ready?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, I have it in my mind. I'm just gonna try. I was gonna write it, but
No
okay.
worries.
So I'm feeling blessed because I am at the beach with my family in my town for a whole month.
Mm.
I love that. Oh my God, I totally love that. I love that. Yes, yes,
I
yes.
felt
Let's see.
I
Yeah,
felt that, and I felt Exie's statement too. I truly felt.
absolutely. And look, she put the emojis of like
Uh-huh.
celebrating and stuff. I love that. Oh, I love that,
Mhm.
Xyz. Hi, Xyz. I feel free to join us here. I know you have the link. Okay, so I want to encourage you to continue this process. And as we are thinking about, for example, these statements, for example, the one that I said, I am a Hay House author, I wrote about that the qualities that I embody as through the process, then after, about the type of person that I became through the process. So, as much as possible, feel the feelings, really go deep into what is it that it feels like, you know? So, I want you to think about your desired outcomes, whether, like I said, in a year, and write it exactly as all these wonderful ladies have shared, you know, however it is for you. And I believe that there is so much power in us writing it like that. I mean, you can type it, right? Sometimes what I do, and this is something that I'll be talking about in later episodes, and I did talk about a little bit last week when Sanette and I were talking about the research on the power of recording ourselves and then listening to ourselves. There is a lot of power in that. So, I mean, you could also do that. And so I want you to have that in mind that you could write it. For me, writing it and listening to myself is by far the most powerful. And so look for research. If you don't want to go back to last week's recording that I did with the beautiful Sonette, because I did share research on the power of us listening to our affirmations, listening to our what I call meditative visualization, which we'll talk about in later episodes. There's a lot of power in that. And then, of course, if you must do what you must do to get it done, then get it done. And what I mean by that is, last July, I was kind of like not feeling the writing or the speaking. And so my coach at that time said, Evie, you're always on the computer. Go ahead and open up your Google Docs. And she says, start talking to Google Docs, talk to text, and go at it. And guess what? That's what I did. I did the whole summer that I was kind of not like vibing the way I wanted. I didn't allow that to stop me from writing. I was talking, and Google Docs was typing it for me, and I was journaling. So that is powerful. Do what you must do. And
That is
here I
so
see,
good.
yeah, let me take this out. You can read this and chime in, Karen.
And she says, wow, recording yourself and then listening to it. I have never thought of that. Yes, it's extremely powerful. I actually want to give everybody, if you look up the app Think Up, you can actually record your affirmations and then add music to it. And that is super powerful because you add an emotional, you add something that will create an emotion. And I do that. Like, so I spend at least 10 minutes in my morning, and that plays the auto suggestion. That helps you create the emotion because you're listening and you're visualizing. And it gets you out of that, like what you say, instead of a routine, the intention, having to switch around things, because we always need to switch around things. You know what I do? I don't do it on Google Docs, Evie, but when I don't want to type, I go to my notepad, on my phone, the notepad or notebook, and I record myself the same way. And sometimes I write my newsletters that way, because sometimes the flow is just happening and you just go with it, you know? So there's many options to do it.
I love that. And please remember to write that there in the chat for the live chat for everyone, because I love that. And I did not know about that. And as I'm doing more meditations, I wanted to have something like that. So look at that. I just manifested that. So
Yes,
thank
it's
you.
called yes, it's called Think Up. And um it looks, and I'm going to take a picture of it so that everybody can kind of look at it. And I used to use voice loop for it, but it didn't have music. I had to put music in the background. With
I
this one,
love that.
Think Up,
Okay.
come through.
Yes, 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 yes. I like
With
it.
Think Up, you can actually implement the music that you want. And there's
I
so
love
many
that.
things, and you record all of your affirmations, whatever it is that you want to listen and update.
I absolutely love that. And remind me to tell people that they can pick up my first meditation that I wrote and that I
Oh,
did for future self, because I want people, that's part of also something that I'm teaching in the book, is how to be more powerful by not only doing future self journaling, but also actually doing your own affirmations, doing your own meditation and recording yourself, because there's so much power in that. So, as we continue, I want to encourage you then to think and feel more of who you are becoming, who you want to be. So, for example, this is a wonderful, powerful way that I have written for myself when I am reflecting on my life. And I always begin with gratitude because, as I explained on episode 1 this month about how gratitude calibrates as an emotion, according to Dr. Hawkins, extremely high. So I like to be in that attitude of gratitude, and then really perfecting that idea through my words in my mind, and more importantly in my subconscious mind, which is where most of us are. And that could be for anything, whether it be for money, for clients, for love, for health, whatever it is. We could write about that in the most positive, affirmative self. The key to future self journaling is to write in a positive, empowering tone, and to believe in your ability to manifest your dreams. That is simply it. And all you want to do is practice. You've heard practice makes perfect. So you practice this technique regularly, which to me means every day, so that you can cultivate that positive and abundant mindset so that you can manifest your fab rich life or your fabulous future self. So that's one of the things that I want to remind you to do, is just practice every day, and think about it as that's what you're doing. You are practicing. So I want to encourage you to do the future self journaling starting today. How can you begin today? Pick any of the ways that we just talked about today and begin either writing a letter to your future self, texting or emailing from your phone to your laptop a letter to your future self, or an affirmative word.
mhm.
I want to allow at this time and ask both Asia and Karim if you wanted to share something else about this topic, to go ahead and do that before I do some final sharing that I want to do, please feel free to share a little bit of what's come up for you, a little bit of some of your own personal experience, or even ask questions if you have.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, I think that what this particular topic, the embodiment of seeing our future self, and sometimes even being conscious of the words that we use, seeing ourselves, our birthright, our perfection, is really the essence of anything that we desire. Because, like I said from the very beginning, it's through the emotion that we create and manifest anything in our lives. And the emotion only comes from where we are focusing. What we put focus on is what we create in our life. And so it is the one thing that I would add on to this, that I actually tell my clients to do, is to create a beautiful story with all of the things, all of the visions that you are claiming into your life. Not necessarily have a whole general story, but create it in a one day. One day, how does your life look like from the moment that you wake up, already having the results that you are calling in? And so
Yes.
that makes you dive in and tap into, what am I feeling? What does my day look like when you wake up? What are you wearing? What is the first thing you get to
Well,
look at?
wait. That's going to be for next week. So hold that, and you and I will talk, because that is part of what we're going to talk about next week. So you're kind of
Okay.
getting a little bit ahead. And if
Okay.
if both of you will show up next week, then the three of us will discuss how we can do that. That's part of what the daily journaling is, and that's
Yes.
why I say your future self could be tomorrow, because the idea of the evening. So, as going back to what I stopped Asia from saying at the beginning, is you start preparing for the next day in the evening. And in the evening, you start journaling as your future self tomorrow. Okay. Now, the difference is, and we'll discuss this next week, in terms of a lot of this work that I've put into both the journal and the book, is metaphysics, spiritual, psychology. And so next week we'll talk a little bit about some of the psychology behind it, because there are, especially one of the psychologists that I follow, who believes that the future self journaling and the future self and thinking about the future self is actually more powerful later in the future than on a daily, because we are already so used to and so wanting like immediate gratification. And because sometimes we don't get immediate gratification, we stop doing the things like, doing journaling every day. Because if I write today that tomorrow, and I'm just going to be kind of nutty out there, I want to manifest $10,000 tomorrow, somehow, some way. The how is not my business. And then I don't. I know that's kind of putting it out there, but just to give you an idea. And then I don't, and I continue seeing that, just because for whatever XYZ, which we'll talk more about next week, then we may not continue. So
Mhm.
next week we're going to talk about, my thoughts are that we want to do it every day, morning and night, and it is a habit, which we are also going to talk about how to develop the habit, because we really want to cement that as a habit in our lives, so that we can daily begin manifesting more. And the more that we do it daily, I really believe that that future self, in a year, in 7 years, in 10 years, we will manifest. So we'll talk more about that, Karen. Remember that. And Asia, did you want to say anything else about it before I finalize some different sharings that I want to share about what's coming up?
So, just talking about this topic, I mean, there's a big manifestation in my life that is coming to my mind. Since I was very little, I always used to travel to New York, and I was so in love with the city. I just felt I will go back home and tell my mom, my skin looks better, my hair looks better, everything is just so perfect. I wish I could live there. When I was 13, I was begging my parents to just send me there for the summer, and they did. and I worked in a little Italian bakery. And after that experience, I was just like so convinced I wanted to move to New York. So obviously, I was 13, there was no way. But since that day that I decided that I was going to live in New York, I remember I had this little painting from Walt Disney that used to say, if you can dream it, you can do it.
Mhm.
And the motivation was just so high that it's just something that I cannot explain. How did that happen? Like, there was no way for that to happen. But one day, my dad received a call with a job offer in New York with
Hmm.
everything paid for. And he
Wow.
called me because we weren't living together. I used to live with my mom, and he had a family, separate family. And he called me, and I was like, I mean, you can't even think twice about it. Like, we have to go. And so for the first time, I got to live with him, which got us very close. Finally, I got there. And it's just a one experience that I can't explain. Just how did that happen? And so that's why I believe in the power of manifesting. And that's why I really hope to continue being aligned with things that I want, because I know that it can happen for everybody. When you want something, sometimes there's no explanation. It's not going to be overnight, because it wasn't overnight. It's something that just I really really wanted. Somehow the universe gave it to me, and it wasn't easy. It was really hard. When I got there, I didn't like it. I didn't speak English. It was high school was a frustration, but I got it. That's what
Yes,
I wanted to be, and I
I
was
Mm.
love
there.
that. I
So
love
That's a
that. I love
beautiful
that.
story.
experience.
Oh my God. Thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned, it's interesting that you mentioned the quote by Walt Disney. And so I want to read from my first journal when I was 12 years old, what the cover says, because what you said was the Walt Disney one. And in this one is from William Arthur Ward. And it says, if you can imagine it, you can achieve it. If you can dream it, you can become it. And I
Mm.
want to remind people about that as we continue our conversation. So I want to remind you that you can join us here on stage when you visit fabrichwomen.com. You'll land in businessversity.com, Fabrich Women. You'll sign yourself up to watch. You can watch either in the upcoming page that will show up, which, where is it? Is this one here? Will show up, will look like it, but you can watch right from there. And you can just ask us to join in here. And of course, we're a little bit limited, unfortunately, to how many people can be here. But if you email me at Evie at Businessversity, we'll make sure that we get you going in here. I think I'm allowed 4 people. I also want to remind you, we talked about meditations, affirmations, and journal prompts that you can go to our website to start your Fabric morning meditation. And I'll put it in the notes so that everybody has it. And you can download meditation. And now that Karen shared this beautiful tool with us, I'm going to be doing more of them. And I want to invite you to come next week as we'll be talking about the daily retreat. So, incorporating your future self journaling into the daily retreat. And in the meantime, if you feel that you are too busy, I want to encourage you to check out my latest blog, How Being Busy Will Not Allow You to Feel, Act, and Be Rich. So make sure you go to businessversity.com blog and check out my latest blog, because being busy was not allowing me to be a powerful manifester, because I was too busy to think that I deserve or was worthy of spending time with my higher self, creating my life. And that was not true. So I hope that's not you. And if it is, it's okay. We've all been there. Go ahead and check out that blog. And now, before I finish, I want to ask Karen and then Asia if you have a few words before we say goodbye.
Mm, the only thing that I would say is to really tap into, um, and don't make it such a big leap, for especially for people that have never journaled, and don't think that it's okay that I have to start doing this. You want to do it. because you want to have the peace and the happiness and the abundance that you receive as you're doing it. And so put yourselves as mini goals, like I start now, because we make decisions in the now. um, and just look at it one day at a time. Don't set yourself out like for a 90-day challenge and all. Just take it one day at a time. And just whenever you're grateful for something, ask yourself why, and allow for that to really simmer in your heart. And you're going to start to become more aware that you're not grateful as much as you can be, because you can be grateful for the sun that is shining, the colors of the trees. Like, there's so many beautiful things that we're not constantly aware to be grateful for. And that brings joy and life into you. You're muted.
Asia? Asia.
Okay. So actually, I just really wanted to thank you, both, and everyone that it's on the platform today, because I think it's such a great experience that we, just take the time to connect with each other and learn. And especially Evie, I want to thank you for taking the initiative, for getting us all here, and some, like as we talk today, literally I felt my skin like being like like, because it's so powerful. And so thank you for just creating this platform. I'm very grateful to be here.
Well, I love it. And I want to remind everyone that we'll be here next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And remember, next Wednesday, we're going to talk about this idea of the daily retreats, the morning and the evening retreats. And I also want to remind people to please make sure you visit futureselfretreat.com, because next Friday, it is my intention to begin diving deeper into the concepts that we have been sharing this month. So take a look and check out the futureselfretreat.com page. We have two events coming up, one that will be at the end of this month, which is Friday, the 31st, which will be a 4-hour event. And then, of course, later on in May, we are having the live in person retreat. And I definitely, definitely want to see everyone joining us in that live retreat so that we can enjoy being with each other and just have a ton of fun. And let's see what else. Do we have anybody else? Okay. Thank you so much for staying with us. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much,
Thank you, Evie.
Maribel,
Thank
for
you.
Thank
being there.
you.
I am just really, really grateful for you guys. I mean, you guys are amazing, and I'm so blessed by your presence. And thank you. And I look forward to seeing everyone next Wednesday at 2 p.m. here. And make sure you register and make sure you email me if you want to join these beautiful ladies where we're live streaming. Thank you so much. And I'll leave you with some images on a video on our upcoming Future Self Retreat that will be virtual. Hope you enjoy it and hope that you can visualize yourself joining me live for a 4-hour mini virtual retreat next Friday. Thank you so much.